Hey, Bombardiers. Colonel Fisher here from the wing. Here with Chief Francois and Master Sergeant Hernandez. We're going to try something a little bit new, and we're going to do a audiovisual message to the force. We just got back from the Air and Space Cyber Conference in DC, and we want to kind of give it a little bit of a recap of what we saw, and kind of have a conversation with Chief Francois and Sergeant Hernandez about what we saw, what we experienced, kind of some of the things that some of the senior leaders' message to the force.
So this is the second year that you've been able to represent the 310th Space Wing at AFA. What were the key takeaways for you coming out of this year's conference?
Conference was great. A lot less busy. You were able to sit down. My favorite event was the Stewart Leadership with retired General Goldbein and Dr. Heather Williams. Great conversations. Seeing that power couple there and seeing how that should be throughout the chain of command is really inspiring.
The way those two work as a team?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things that I thought was she mentioned that he never called her Heather. And that just shows the respect that he had for her in the office. And sometimes we can be a little, casual amongst ourselves, and that just shows the standard.
They always maintain the professionalism.
Absolutely.
It's a great message to take away for the entire force. So you mentioned there's not a lot of people there. That affords you a little bit more opportunity probably to go, one-on-one with a number of people. Who did you meet while you're there? What did you see?
I didn't meet anybody personally.
No?
No.
Is there somebody you wanted to meet and you didn't?
I was hoping to see our General Spain.
Yeah.
I worked with him when he was an exec, and so I was really hoping to see him again.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I know they were all kicking around, but there was a lot less people there because of the administration, really the Department of Defense or War, depending on how you phrase it, really put a limitation on the number of people. Really just, last year we sent over 30 people. This year we sent 8. So it's a significant decrease in the number of people. Mm-hmm. But what other, outside of Secretary Wilson and General Coldfield, what other talks did you see?
So they were a little over my head because I'm not in cyber or EW.
Sure.
So it was pretty interesting to sit in there with those professionals. Some of the people that attended, that's their trade. So I got to get a little bit of example of what goes on and see what they're talking about. We did sit with retired General Raymond, and he talked about how Space Force was built. And it was interesting to hear the little anecdotes about what color name tapes they were going to have, right, and how the whole thing came about. And he was number 1 Guardian, but he wasn't a Guardian yet because that wasn't even a term when he was number 1. Right. And how there are certain people that sometimes will say, hey, I was number 8, because they know that they fell in line.
Fascinating.
Because it's a small space force.
So I guess our members are now number 7,312 or 310 even.
Yeah.
Who knows, right?
Well, we had some of the first 5, right?
Right, first 5. I would consider them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 personally.
Absolutely.
But anyway, so outside of the AFA and the conference itself, what did you do? What did you see?
Well, I didn't see you a lot, sir.
Oh yeah, I know.
I think I saw you one time in the hallway, but you were busy with somebody.
Yeah, so Chief and I were busy kind of carrying the water for the men and women of the 310th. We were inside the Pentagon in meetings all day on Monday. Then we had various levels, various meetings throughout the rest of the time. In fact, I think Chief and I only saw a portion of one of the talks. We were able to get around the exhibition floor a couple times, but really for us, the value added was in meeting people to talk about our airmen and talk about some of the challenges that we might see with this tranche 2 PMA, part-time PMA, or really continued service in the Air Force Reserve.
And did anything?
You want us to share?
Yes.
Sure.
Can we unpack that a little bit more?
Yeah, we can unpack that. So, what the message we've been carrying to anybody that will listen. And when I say anybody that will listen, it's Space Force, the S1 shop, the personnel shop. It's various portions of the Air Force Reserve inside the Pentagon, and it's even to the SAF, the Secretary of the Air Force, and their manpower and their personnel levels. So we met with a number of different people talking about what we see are potential challenges to a continued service in the Space Force, or even continued service in the Air Force Reserve. Speaking to the Space Force challenges, we see really that this episodic nature of continued service as a part-time guardian or a non-sustained guardian is potentially a challenge to people in continued service. This idea that there's very hard to have a part-time career path that kind of spans you all the way through to a 20-year retirement is sort of antithetical to a lot of what we particular in the Air Force Reserve see as a career path and a relative goodness and a way to continue to serve our country. So we messaged that. We also talked about right now there's not a floor of number of positions inside the Space Force that are part-time eligible positions. I believe Space Force put out 812 eligible part-time positions, but there's nothing that would preclude them, either in policy or in law, of changing that number, either up or down, based upon the needs of the service. Mm-hmm. And in fact, that's kind of what they want to do. Is this is supposed to be a very, we'll call it a flexible service model, so like they can flex to the needs of the service. And while that's great for running a service, it's also a little bit challenging to really understand what that means for you as a guardian in a part-time status. And then lastly is we're to this point, Space Force has yet to communicate to our peoples or the people who might be part-time guardians civilian employer. So people who work for Lockheed, Boeing, the mom and pop shop on the street, they don't really understand. They haven't been afforded the opportunity to talk about what this means to their people, their employees, and how that might change their way of service with their own company. So we talked through a lot of those potential situations, and while I won't say whether I'm optimistic or not in influencing hearts and minds and potentially impacting potential future policy changes or even law changes. It was good to at least represent the concerns that we're hearing from the field, from the 310 Space Force Space Wing members about some of the concerns they have about this part-time service model. It was good to at least represent that to the field.
So I think I represent some of the units when I say that I had no idea you were doing all of this work, and very pleasantly surprised to find out that those are the conversations that you're having out there. And I don't know if everybody understands what those things mean to be part-time Space Force, and you going out there and trying to find out what that means for everybody is.
Well, that means a lot to myself, and I'm sure for Chief as
Absolutely.
well. I will say we don't do this for our own benefit, and we're not we're not advertising that for that reason. It's not about us; it's about the people, and we want to find solutions to them. But it means a lot that you mentioned that. I will also say that you are not eligible to transfer.
That's right.
So there's some challenges with that too, right?
Absolutely. Currently, I'm an AGR, so I'm in a little bit of different situation, but I do have TRs out there that I am worried about.
Right.
With, that I directly supervise and within the units. It's hard finding out finding spaces,
Right.
billets, and they were wanting to stay a TR for a reason.
Right.
And I actually had this weekend somebody tell me that they're considering retirement because of this. If I didn't have these conversations with you and I didn't know the things that I knew, my conversation with that individual would be completely different over the weekend than if you had asked, or if she had asked me a week ago.
Sure.
I would have told her, let's start processing your paperwork.
Sure.
This is what you want to do. But I have hope that we might be able to do something for her so she can continue serving as she wishes.
Yeah.
Because she's feeling right now like that's her last resort.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So first off, I'll address the men and women of the wing directly for a minute. Myself and Chief's main goal is ensuring that people who want to serve this nation have the ability to serve this nation in a capacity that's right for them. If that's Space Force, great. If it's continued service in the Air Force Reserve, great. If it's service in a different component, a different service as a whole, fine. The most important thing is to maintain and retain that capacity. So to that point, there's a number of, we'll say, things that the Air Force Reserve is looking to do. Perhaps Chief can enumerate on those a little bit.
So yeah, we spent a lot of time in DC talking with the Secretary of the Air Force's office, talking with Space Force S1, but we're also having a significant amount of conversation with AFRC A1. And right now there's some things that they're kind of putting into play. We saw the MSC stand up. They've made some slight changes to the Member Support Center. They brought on some additional personnel there and kind of posturing to prepare for this mass transfer of 310 Space Wing airmen to new homes across the command. Right now there's conversation regarding a direct placement memo that would allow the MFMs, the A1 team, to just take a 310 Space Wing airman and match them to a vacancy elsewhere in the command without having to apply, interview, and all of that. So if a member's wanting to continue service, there's a need for them, we'll be able to just slide them right into that vacant position. So, and I believe that they intend to come to the wing in the November timeframe, hopefully, and message that directly to the people. We're getting close. They should be able to roll out. This is the final plan going forward.
So Chief, does that also talk about retraining opportunities to members?
Yes. So, obviously we have individuals that have prior AFSCs. We have individuals that have AFSCs that are common across the command. And we have the individuals that that are strictly space, have a strictly space background. But the retraining opportunities are available to all. Right now, if you have a prior, we're probably going to look there first. Right. If you have an AFSC now, you're a 3F, for example. There's a ton of needs out there for the 3Fs. But in the event that they can't find something that lines up with your experience, your qualifications, current needs of the command, then absolutely retraining is an opportunity.
That's fantastic to hear. So Sergeant Hernandez, you've asked us some questions now. What's the biggest takeaway you had from AFA as a whole? And would you recommend it to the next batch of bombardiers who may be able to go out next year?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, especially in DC, in the nation's capital, all the history, everything that you can see, going to AFA is definitely worth it. It's a different perspective. You get, like I got to see what the cyber world is getting into and whatnot. And like I said, did not know. But it's enlightening. And then, maybe you get to see a couple of sites, learn a little history.
So we heard you toured the Pentagon?
We did get to tour the Pentagon.
Sweet.
We did. And the Guardian walked backwards.
You had a Guardian?
We had a Guardian and
a
seaman.
And a seaman. And they walked backwards.
They did.
Is that how they give tours?
They do.
Really?
Yes.
They never take their eyes off the crowd.
That's spectacular.
Yes.
I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, they were very informational, and I wish the tour was a little bit longer.
Really?
What all did you get to see? What were some of the highlights?
We got to see the chapel where they're honoring all the
Part of the 9/11 memorial?
Yes, 9/11 memorial. And they talked about that. They talked about the hallways and how when the Pentagon was first constructed, there was no OSHA.
Yeah.
So there was
Right.
no guidelines. And so it was basically sticks and wall and plywood, and that's why it was so easy. But what they did discuss is that they had been rebuilding the Pentagon, and that section of the Pentagon was reinforced and had finished 5 days prior to that plane landing there.
Oh, wow.
And so you could see where it didn't go further
Right.
than what it could have.
Right.
So, yeah,
Fascinating.
Wow.
there was a lot of lives lost, but there could have been more.
Right.
And so, cool to see that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um,
And did you know, fun fact at the Pentagon, you can get anywhere in the Pentagon in 7 minutes if you know what you're doing and how you're going.
Yep.
Chief and I
don't
think
we did it in
I think
7
we
minutes, sir.
lapped the building 7 times on Monday. I think we had 24,000 steps that day. But yeah,
I paid attention to the paintings because I was sure that I was going to see one twice in between point A and point B.
Yeah.
So that was my warning, but you have to go all the way around
I like
in
the
order
fun.
for that to happen.
I like the fun fact that the Russians tried to. They thought that the center of the Pentagon, where the little lunch area was, that people were carrying aluminum foil, and they were thinking that there was some underground bunker, and that's where they needed to bomb. Come to find out, everybody was just bringing hamburgers and hot dogs back to their
absolutely.
office.
But I thought that's where Megatron was buried.
He is, sir.
I know, right? Right?
But yes.
Okay, so I think we're about ready to wrap this up. Chief, you have any final points?
So, share what you learned, right? Talk to the airmen. I know that you've been coaching, right, in regards to retention, your airmen in your section. But share what you learned in DC, right? Keep in mind that AFA has another conference coming up, and it's right here in our own backyard. In the February-March timeframe, they'll be doing the conference at the Gaylord up by the airport in Denver.
Yes.
So, and that one is one where it's a lot easier for more people to take advantage of. It's absolutely a fantastic professional development opportunity, and it's one that I would encourage as many people to participate in as possible. So,
Any other last comments?
No, sir.
No? You good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so my last thing is when you go back to your formation or when you talk to other people, remind them that it's very critical that if they have the ability to continue to serve, they find a way to do that.
Yes, sir.
Again, Space Force might not be for everybody, and that's okay. Air Force Reserve might not be for everybody, but that's okay. There's other services out there as well, and we are here to assist in whatever we can do to ensure that people find the right place and the right way to serve. And if we can influence either Air Force Reserve Command or Space Force to open up opportunities, make the model a little bit more accessible to continued service and a part-time status, then we will do that. We will continue to fight that for the people. So I guess thank you for attending. Thank you for being a good representation of the wing. And let's go have a good UTA.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the
All right.
opportunity.
Thank you. Absolutely.